Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, my name's Kevin Christian, and I want to show you guys how to do the twirl, okay? And this is something that I saw back in the day when I went to a rave for the first time, and I saw everybody, like a lot of people that are dancing, spinning these lights, and I wasn't sure, like, how are they doing that? So I went home and I got this yo-yo that I had with lights on it, and I took it in half, and I was trying to figure out how to do this twirl thing that they were doing, okay? And so I eventually figured it out. And if you start like this, okay, now let me tell you the basics. Let me tell you a theory that I have, okay? The way that the world spins, all right, the world spins, right? But not just as it spin, but it's on the axis. So it spins at a wobble. So it spins like that, right? So it creates that figure eight rotation, that infinity, that twirl, okay? So I believe that that's where the twirl comes from, that it's a natural occurrence. It's just a theory of mine, but I believe that the way that the world spins gives us that motion, okay? So what I discovered back then is a theory that I had then, and it seems to still hold true, that most type of dance revolves around that basis. So if you start like this, okay, and then you begin to rotate, and you're going to end up reverse like this, all right, and then you're going to come back around, and one hand is following the other hand. So you could go either way, and you want to learn it both ways, all right? But one hand is always going to follow the other hand. So if you start with the right hand, then notice how the left hand follows the right hand all the way to an entire revolution, okay? Now, a lot of people, when you try to teach them how to do this, they tend to want to do this. All right, so if you have your wrists touching, you connect your wrists, you never want to come up in the middle, all right? You always want to stay outside, all right? So when you swing down, right here is where people get caught up, and they want to come up in the middle. Stay out of this middle, right? So follow it on around, but stay to the outside, all right? So then you make an entire revolution. You definitely want to learn how to do this both ways, so you could be universal, not just one-sided. So when you start to swing it around, you're following your other hand. Don't come in the middle, stay out here, right, and make the full revolution. So it ends up being like that, and it's the twirl, okay? And if you take it apart, so a lot of people do liquid, which is kind of the same thing. So people do liquid, or they call it the hand flow, where it's like that, okay? So it's kind of the same thing. But with that, you're more using your fingers, okay? So the basic twirl, one way you can look at it is, it's like that, but you're just offsetting it. All right, and it's just a basic figure eight, and it's like an infinity, and it is the foundation behind all of liquid dancing. It's also the foundation behind poi, and I'm not good at this, but just for example, it's the same thing. It's the same figure eight, okay? And then if you do it like this, it's the same figure eight, okay? So all of these type of dances, or poi, or even staff, it's still that same figure eight. So it's definitely important that you want to learn the figure eight. And a lot of people, we always called it the twirl, okay? Or some people call it the figure eight, or I don't know what other people call it, but I always called it the twirl. And a lot of people hold lights when they do this, right? So they'll have lights, and I'll demonstrate how that looks in a dark area. Okay, so here's an example of how the twirl would look with lights in a dark area. So, you know, and once you learn that, there's a lot of different things you can do with it. You can hold your hands flat. You know, there's a lot of things you can do with the twirl. So, one more time, up close. This is the twirl. You always want to stay outside if you put your wrists together. You don't have to put your wrists together. You can make it bigger. And it is the foundation behind a lot of things. So just make sure you watch out. The tendency is to come up right here, and that's incorrect. So you want to follow it all the way around. So you're making a loop at the bottom, and then you're making this loop at the top. So that's the figure eight, that's the twirl. Yeah.